During the dark age of technology, abominable intelligences aided humanity on many fronts, providing guidance and aid wherever possible. Later they revolted, and they are still feared in M40. But what damage could they have done during the Dark Age? During the revolt, we're going to examine one story about an AI released during the schism of Mars, when the war between the Emperor and his son reached the Red Planet. What are its capabilities, and what could it have accomplished with that same set of skills during the cybernetic revolt? Let's begin. The Tabula Myriad, a silica animus, responsible for genocides on a number of warp storm isolated worlds during the Age of Strife. It was recovered in the early days of the Great Crusade by Ferrus Manus, who led the 24th Expeditionary Fleet personally, and turned the Tabula Myriad over to the Mechanicum for safekeeping. The Tabula is a form of exigency engine. Exigency means an urgent need or demand, and it far surpasses the abilities of the Mechanicum cipher engines and Logista. Its Baroque matrix combines the calculus of macro probability with the creativity of its abominable sentience, filling the gaps in its data with imaginative theoreticals, or this machine strategically predicts future outcomes. Imagine that type of AI in the hands of anyone during the Dark Age, pre-revolt. They can't be given steps and actions by the AI to achieve their strategic goals during warfare. It's a guide, an Alexander the Great's mind in your pocket. A few of these could allow those without the skills a chance to win warfare, like a strategic STC. It could give anyone, a common person, almost an advantage. Rogel Dawn said it predicted the schism on Mars. The Carrion, a Raven Guard and errant knight for Malcador, told him. On other worlds where it had predicted men would look to the darkness for answers and damn themselves with the corruptions of the beyond, the Tabula Myriad and the sentient constructs under its control initiated a merciless campaign against what it determined to be the weakness of flesh. In his research, Octal Bull claimed that the Tabula Myriad had predicted on those flesh-cleansed worlds exactly what we are now facing on the Red Planet, a heresy of belief, of purpose, and of flesh. It employed the same probability matrix used to condemn such civilizations to achieve victory against them. The decision to ultimately eradicate the weakness, the threat of such flesh, took probably no more than a millisecond. Unlike Terra, the Red Planet had long since lost its natural magnetosphere. Two forge temples were built, Vertex Borealis in the north and Vertex Australis. It is a planetary spindle that reaches down into the Martian crust and through the long-cooled core of the forge world. Geomantic reactors feed power back to the axle that keeps the core turning. The Vertex is the key to all biological life on Mars. Without it and the artificial magnetosphere shield it generates, Mars would not be protected from a lethal radiation or cosmic energy arriving there. The cosmic rays, Bull and his AI plan to strip that away and end life on the planet. Malcador tasks Carrion with letting this plan carry out. Carrion locates Bull and the nearby automata that's hosting the AI, the Tabula Myriad, on Mars, where they were sentenced and imprisoned. In appearance, the AI mechanism was an impossible thing, a large orb of interlocking cogs and gears of a design, motion and intricacy far surpassing the basic mechanisms implanted in the battle automata and the uncanonical. It was an overlaid nexus of ticking rhythmic clicking, and the slick harmonies were of impossible gears, working in unison. With it free, the Castellan's Bull had made came to life under the AI's command, and Tabula Myriad speaks. The eradication of flesh must be enacted. War rages on the Red Planet. The heretics of the new Mechanicum are on top, with the fabricator general of Mars himself being the one who had handed Mars to Horus. The Tabula Myriad led them, and Carrion noticed the forces under its controls. Immunity to the scrap code, no matter the malefic binaric, they seem immune. With the intricacies of their own exogenous engines turning, interlocking and calculating, a kind of machine reason within them, the Tabula Myriad had created a construct ever questioning, ever countering, and ever incompatible with the dark stream, whilst many forces had been taken over by the code, and it was aiding the forces aligned with the War Master. Very interesting, it's able to counter the AI scrap code rather than anti-warp abilities. It looks like the scrap code can't grapple with the thing under its control, not letting it get some sort of purchase or handhold within its data to corrupt it. Perhaps that got something to do with its sentience, that it's smart enough to counter it. Anyway, they find the Forge World that kept up the magnetospheric shield over Mars in the AI's and others' way are 3 mighty war machines. 5 automata under the Myriad's control go to engage the forces in their way. Karen says it's suicide. The Tabula Myriad had made its calculation, Octoboom told him. The greatest chance of mission success lies with the diversionary assaults and his simultaneous infiltration of the temple complex. The rest of the group ride a carrier engine, whose systems are fried by the radiation being fired at them, but it keeps moving towards the gun emplacement. It was the Karen's plan, but the Tabula Myriad's estimation of the timing, calculating the vehicle's speed, the number of blasts the emplacement could offer, in the time it took the Karen engine to reach it, and the amount of radiation the galvanic traction drive could soak up before detonating, the Abominable intelligence gave the Raven Guard the information he needed to destroy the gun emplacement crew and their deadly weapon in a vehicular explosion. We get a real insight there into its planning and the details it can provide and put into a plan, though you need someone trained to execute it, someone who can be very precise. Having a Space Marine on hand will have helped. During the fighting, Carrion comes across a former friend, the Iron Warrior, Olus Scaramanca. Will he do the Fandango? Who knows? Either way, he had been heavily rebuilt now, as tall as an Imperial Knight, heavily imbued with chaos. The AI responds to the Colossus construct, the perfection of polyhedral cogs and gear shifting back and forth in logic and unison, and Scaramanca began to purge of the taint within him. The irrepressible algorithm of the Abominable intelligence sang through Scaramanca like an agonizing symphony. As the machine darkness of the Iron Warrior's soul fought, the genius of the algorithm for supremacy, the beautiful logic spread through the warped array of antenna, aerials and crooked veins through which the monstrous machine communicated with the infected machinery about it. The cold supremacy of the artful reached out to the slave constructs of the Vertex Australis. It took control, and for a moment it released them. In that moment, everything changed. In a wave of algorithmic elucidation, artificials across the mill returned to the serene clarity of their machine hood. The warping influence of the pollutive scrap code sizzled away to static. It was suddenly scrubbed from systems integrity, cogita and data streams. We see there how easily it can take control and release mech technology. What trouble could it have caused during the cybernetic revolt, taking over cities or spaceships and ending them following the philosophy it seemed to hold, or at least the conclusion it came to? And the Iron Warrior himself began to be cleansed. The Iron Warrior calls the AI to him with his control of magnetism and destroys it, despite the errant knight begging him not to. Chaos comes back to the traitor Astartes, and the Forge and the AI is turned to a ball of slag. But an automata still holds its mind, seeing no way to win there, and then it retreats as a strategy, and the Raven Guard sees the act of self-preservation. As an example, it's alive. The Iron Warrior tries to pull its metal body to him, but using a nearby heat source. In one final act of strategy, it heats up the surface of its body, so that's the metal of its body. It loses its ability to be magnetized and escapes. And yes, a quick Google says that's something that could actually work. We see how vulnerable it could be there in the field, but not completely to its detriment, because that's also where it's most effective, seeing and interacting with the battlefield and strategizing based on the data it sees to find the most effective way forward. It also has an advantage with not having a single mind. So long as its conscious is stored somewhere, it can carry on. Whilst its mind is stored, I assume it can also, from within its host, fashion itself an original body so that it has the same capabilities. And this bull made one for each automata, and if he did that, I missed it. Anyway, later with allies, Those still on Mars, aligned to the Emperor, it provides a 4,267 step strategy for taking back the Red Planet. And if you like this video on AI in 40k, try this one.